Hi, hi, hi. This is Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo, and we are going to continue our series where we're talking about the limiting patterns or limiting beliefs that we have and what we can do about it, how we can know if we have this pattern functioning and running of our lives, how we can identify it in our loved ones that are around us, how we can take steps to empower ourselves using our language and our choices so that we can create a different possibility. I want to just review. This is the last video of this series. We did 5 videos. This is number 5. We started off by talking about, gosh, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. Oh, we started talking about lying to yourself. Then we talked about ignoring your gifts and capacity or using them against you. Then we talked about cutting off our receiving. And the last week's video was on using time or age to define you. So if you missed any of those previous videos, go ahead and check them out. It's right here available to you. They're pinned, if you're on Facebook, they're pinned right at the top of the Empowering Light Language business page. And if you're on YouTube, it's all available. You just scroll down to the other previous channels, previous posts on YouTube, Instagram, same thing. And so let's get started with today. Today's topic, just to finish it off, just to make it super gushy and exciting, is perfectionism. I know a lot about this limiting pattern. All of these patterns are patterns that I had running very dynamically in my world, which is how I created the Choosing It All Your Way program, because I tracked the different trainings and techniques and exercises that I did to pull myself out of the muck. And then as you evolve and you grow, you learn new ways that some of these limiting patterns can show up. And so I continue to add it to the cache and library of resources that I provide to my coaching clients. And so when it comes to perfectionism, wow, could I talk a lot about this, but I'm going to keep this short, just like I made those other videos short for you. But one of the things that is important to keep in mind with perfectionism is that it's not just about the area that you are trying to be perfect in. It actually has a rippling out effect to other areas of your life. So as I'm mentioning some possible signs that might indicate that you or someone that you know has this limiting pattern functioning, also consider where that might be having these snaking out effects, where it's rippling out, where it's touching upon these other areas of your life or their lives. So some signs. So if you're having a hard time completing tasks because you're trying to keep tinkering until it's exactly right, you probably have this pattern functioning. Or any other task. So maybe you're not tinkering, maybe before you even start the task, you're waiting for the perfect conditions before you start. Maybe you have to be a certain weight, a certain look. Maybe you're waiting for a certain partner or collaborator before you start this project. Maybe you are waiting for a certain season, or you're waiting for a certain age, just like we talked about using age to define you in previous calls. These all intersect. Perfectionism and all these other ones can intersect with each other. And so this is one of the ways that can show up. What if you aren't giving yourself credit for what you have done, for what you have accomplished, and you're constantly nitpicking at where you haven't done something, where you're lacking, where you failed, and you're not actually acknowledging what you bring to the table, what you've done, what's a gift about you? That may be an indication of where perfectionism is functioning and running in your world. Okay? These are a couple things. Are you ever letting yourself actually feel like you or what you've done, be it an art project, a job, a class, what if it's never good enough? If you're like, that's not good enough, and no matter what happens, you're not ever content or satisfied. It's different than when you're continuing like, okay, cool, I did that, and I'd like to do more. I'd like to take it to the next level. That's very different than it's not good enough. I suck. All these different things, and you're not actually acknowledging what was created in that moment or with that thing, that creation of yours. So if any of these and many more examples, but these is just, remember, I'm keeping it short, have been something that you've thought of or have come up in your world, then you probably have this limiting pattern running. Now, I really urge you to look at this. For me personally, it affected every area of my life. I literally made myself sick trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect student, the perfect friend, the perfect granddaughter. I was really trying to be the perfect partner when with previous partners. Now I've choosing people that embrace all of my weird quirkiness and don't expect me to be perfect, and I don't expect them to be perfect. And so it takes off so much pressure, so much weight. I was so anxious. I was buzzing and vibrating with anxiety, just waiting for the next thing where I could prove myself as this perfect thing that was just unachievable, not sustainable, and really killing me. I'm not exaggerating. It was killing me from the inside out. I was having and unlocking autoimmune issues because of this level of anxiety. I was really depressed a lot of the times because of me comparing myself to other people or comparing myself to other moments in my life where maybe I had reworded and framed and rewritten history so that I could use the past to punish myself. If this relates to you at all, let me know. Let me know, comment in the chat, send me a direct message. This is something that can be really devastating. All of these, depending on how deeply ingrained the pattern is and how many areas of your life you're applying it to, can be really detrimental to your mental, emotional, physical health, to your spiritual health, to your financial health. If you are nitpicking so much that you don't actually cross things off your list and accomplish things and get things off of the task list so you can get to the next thing, think about the implications of that for studying. If you're a student, for work, when you're trying to get work projects done, your bosses, your employers are not going to be happy with you if you can't get things done and move it off your plate and you keep tinkering and you don't actually get it done and meet your deadlines. So, and there's also, for some of you, like I mentioned, if you're not able to even start something, maybe you're not even able to start dating because you're like, oh, well, I have to be this certain weight, or I have to look this certain way, or I have to wait for these certain conditions to be in place before I'm quote unquote ready to meet my person. What if you gotten into knowing yourself and having fun with dating and flexing the skills that you need for dating so that you're ready for your person? Because more than likely, the first person, if it's been a while since you've been dating, isn't going to be your person or your people if you're a poly, okay? So it's all these things that we start to use that really constrain us and slow us down and keep us from having the lives that we'd really like to have sooner rather than later. It's really putting that life off. And it also stops us from having exuberant living, where we can have more joy, where we can have more ease with what's going on, no matter what's going on, because we're not thinking that we have to show up in any particular way. Show up. Just show up, and the rest we can build from there. But the first step really is to show up, not to show up perfect, not to show up in this idealized, unachievable way. So, one of the things that I would really recommend for you to look at is how this is impacting you. What are you missing out on? What is this preventing you from receiving? Which again, this connects to the cutting off our receiving call that we did earlier in this series, where by doing this, by waiting for perfectionism, by choosing perfectionism, by having it run so dynamically, it is actually stopping you from having more of you, from having your gifts, from having what you would like to have show up instead, how you would like to express yourself. If you're tiptoeing and being really, really careful about the wording all the time, and this is for me who loves communication, who loves words, who works with people on their communication, part of getting good with communication is being willing to be messy with it on the way to awesome. Being willing to play around and tinker and experiment and try out different things. But if you're not even kind of willing to get messy, willing to try things out and get out of your comfort zone, you can't actually improve on your communication skills or any of the other skills and areas of your life where you are trying to show up as perfect. So, what are some possible next steps you can do? Well, first, you're going to identify, is this running, and where in my life is this running? What am I missing out on by functioning with these parameters, these conditions, these calculations and computations, okay? And then really look at, okay, what's one step that I can take that will let me get a little bit messier with this, that will give me permission. I'm giving myself permission to get imperfect with this. And what's that mini micro step? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be approved by anyone else. This is just for you to look at. It could literally be this small step that for other people, they would be like, that isn't that big of a deal. But for you, it's like you're moving a mountain. What is that thing, that measurable, that mini achievable thing that you can be like, okay, whew, I got it. I'm starting to do it and move in this direction. I'm starting to develop this skill of getting uncomfortable and not feeling like everything has to be in order for me to do this, okay, or say this, or meet this person, or go to this place. There's so many ways in which this impacted my life, and it wasn't an overnight thing where I wasn't willing to be perfect. I still find these little tendrils, these little residual moments where I'm like, ooh, that's that perfectionism thing. Ooh, it's still there. Let me look at it. Okay, now how am I going to get messy with it? And I literally try to make it like a game. To be like, okay, let's be more amusing. Let's get silly with it. Let's have that playfulness that kids have. They're not trying to be perfect until adults in their lives start telling them that they need to do things a certain way, and if any way outside of that is wrong. So are you willing to get a little bit messy? Are you willing to show up and get a little uncomfortable on your way to develop a skill that will contribute to your mental, emotional, physical health, your spiritual health, your financial health, whatever area of your life that this is impacting? It also affects your creative health. That is a form of health. For those of you artists out here, I have so many artists on this page. I have so many artists in my email list and in my life. I'm so grateful for you. Are you willing to get a bit more messy and playful and awaken that more chaotic, nonlinear, creative juices that is available to you, that was probably part of your journey as an artist early on that you may have put on the shelf or shut down? And what would that create if you could do that? Because it can be so liberating to not spend so much time and energy, so much attention to this level of controlling yourself. It takes a toll on you to do this, and I would love for you to care for yourself and respect yourself so much that you're willing to know that no matter what shows up, no matter how you show up, it'll be okay. You will figure it out. You especially if you're choosing the people and the spaces that will be supportive to you, that will be honoring of you, that will respect you back as much as you're respecting yourself. That's another thing to consider with this. So I hope that this series has contributed to you. If you miss any of the other videos, I invite you to check them out, or if you've already checked them out, listen to them again. If there's something about them that resonated with you, go ahead and share this with your loved ones. If you're hearing something, you're like, ooh, this reminds me of so-and-so. And go ahead and check out the Choosing It All Your Way page where all the rest of the limiting patterns are listed that I didn't get to in the series. It's a lot of them. And see which one of them are possible ones that are running in your life, and look at the ways that it might be impacting you. And if you would like some support with that, go ahead and schedule a chat with me. You can schedule a consultation, or you can also join us in our upcoming Awakening class where we're going to be talking about creative flow in our relationships. And a lot of these patterns show up in our relationships for us to have unsuccessful, unpleasant, maybe even toxic relationships. So if you want any information on that, if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to me. And I hope you've enjoyed this series. It's been wonderful talking to you about these patterns. I hope it's contributed to you and to your loved ones. And I will see you next time. Enjoy your day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Bye for now.